How's it going, everybody? This is Alex Caceres, and you're listening to Story of the Fight.
What is up, everybody? Thank you for joining another episode of Story of the Fight. Ramiro is not here, so you just got me, your boy Will, to talk about some fights. UFC Vegas 105, Lerone Murphy versus Josh Emmett. I know everybody wants to talk about Torres Finney, probably. And then, we got one Fight Night 30, so we'll talk about Irsel, we'll talk about Kriklia. We'll talk about Carrillo. A lot more fights on one that we're going to be covering. We're only going to talk about a few fights from the UFC. But first, before we get into all that, subscribe, do all that stuff. It definitely helps the channel. We're trying to get to 20,000 subscribers and be like Genevieve, who subscribes and tunes into every show. And be like Ganskow, who subscribes and tunes into every show. Ramiro is not here. He's not feeling well. So wish him the best. Hopefully he feels better soon. So you're stuck with your boy. But yeah, subscribe, do all that stuff. If you don't want to watch on YouTube and you just want to listen to the podcast, we're audio only on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Podcasts, anywhere podcasts are found. And then hit us up on social media. It's just Story of the Fight. Go to storyofthefight.com. It'll list all of our socials, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Reddit, pretty much everywhere. It's just Story of the Fight, at Story of the Fight. Click through, follow, hit us up. But let's get into it. Let's talk about some fights. I know y'all are chomping at the bit to talk about UFC Vegas 105. What a horrible card. I know I'm going to do my best to be positive on this one, but god damn was this bad. Lerone Murphy versus Josh Emmett. I actually really like both these guys. I thought this was a sick-ass matchup on paper. One of the few on the card that was actually promising going into this card. And everyone's always quick to defend the UFC and be like, oh, these shit cards they put together, they're the ones that come out to be bangers. You can't skip any of them. And then sometimes they get a bunch of finishes and everyone's like, see? But then we get this time where it doesn't pay off and it's just horrible fight after horrible fight. So we're only going to cover three of them. Ganskow says Ramiro ain't really sick. He just doesn't want to talk about this card. Yes, it was fucking horrible. So we're gonna try to get through some of this and highlight some things that are actually pretty decent from the card, and then maybe shit on some other things. But yeah, Murphy versus Emmett. Murphy's undefeated. I think he's very promising. I think he's very skilled. Josh Emmett still hits like a truck, but he's up there. So yeah, and so is Murphy. Actually, Murphy, he seems like a prospect just because of what he's done so far in his career, but he's already 33, which doesn't seem that old, but at featherweight, it kind of is to be finally breaking into the top. But maybe he's got a short window, is what I should say, I guess. But very skilled, very measured. He knows the game. He knows the movements. He knows how to feint. He knows how to capitalize on feints, things like that. He knows other people's games and how to neutralize those games. Josh Emmett just wants to walk people down and land that right hand to a fault because he hits so goddamn hard. He pretty much, if you can nullify his step-in jab, he really uses his jab as a distance, a way to gain distance and then line up that big right hand. So you can kind of, I don't want to say you can disregard the jab, but you kind of need to so that you don't get hit with that big right hand behind it. And Lerone Murphy knows that. One of the things he was doing that was really cool throughout the whole fight was Josh Emmett would kind of skip in on that jab and load up on that right hand behind it. And Murphy would either eat the jab or slip the jab and then just toss an elbow in because he knows if Josh Emmett jabs, a big right hand is coming behind it, and my elbow off of his jab is going to beat that punch to the finish line. So really cool. You see that a lot. We're going to talk about one, but you see that a lot, like Super Light versus Haggerty, right? Everybody knows elbows are quicker than punches. So if you know that punch is coming, you can time off of that and just step in with that elbow. And he was doing that the whole event, basically, or the whole fight. And that was really cool. He cut him open. The slam was cool. I wish Josh Emmett would work in his wrestling differently, but this was actually a cool exchange where he gets that the high crotch like DC used to do back in the day. Did it to Dan Harrison, did it to Gustafson, did it to a bunch of guys, Barnett. Maybe even the most impressive was the Barnett one in Strikeforce. But yeah, he gets the high crotch on Murphy, lifts him up over his head, just chucks him behind him. Doesn't even fall, doesn't even go down with him, just literally drops him like a sack of potatoes, and then jumps on him and ultimately can't do too much with it. Murphy just does a good job of getting his back up against the fence. It was actually kind of a cool escape where um, Emmett kind of has his arms wrapped around his legs, putting his knees together. Murphy has his left hand posted as he's trying to wall walk to get back up. Emmett has his hands locked around the knees, trying to hold him down. So Murphy just goes up, grabs the neck, attacks like a ninja choke. Emmett's like, "Fuck, I gotta let go of these legs to defend this," and he gets out of it. So that was cool. Attack the legs of Josh Emmett. He's coming off a knee surgery. So yeah, attack the legs. I mean, fuck. I'm not very enthusiastic about this one. Just trying to call out the things that seemed cool in it. Austin says highest slam I've ever seen in an MMA match, though. So props for that. Yeah, very DC esque. Shout out Bose Magoats. Thanks for joining. And shout out Percy. Yes, UFC cards suck. Yes, it was. It was very bad. But Lerone Murphy got the win. He got the rare booze during a post-fight victory speech at the Apex, which is hard to do when there's nobody there. But goddamn, shout out Ghosts. What's up, boys? Bad card. But it's good that Emmett isn't getting another title shot by being an overhand merchant. Yeah, we were just talking about how, I mean, you know that overhand's coming. So if he throws the jab, you know the jab is only to set up that overhand, so you can just slip in the elbow off that jab before the overhand gets there because you know exactly what he's doing over and over and over again. But yeah, I still like Lerone Murphy. I know a lot of people are hating on him pretty hard off this one. Um, it might not be the most exciting fight, but he did show some things that I liked. Like I talked about, the get-ups were cool. His the positioning to break off the clinch, things like that, things that he would do where Josh Emmett had like a single leg and he'd just hop back and just start hooking him in the head until he lets go. Just like little things in those in between moments that kind of show that Murphy's well rounded, and then also that Emmett might be slowing down. Probably is slowing down. He's older. He's had a lot of fights. He's coming off knee surgery, all that stuff. That being said, I still like Lerone Murphy. Um, he's not perfect, but I think he's very good at fighting and very good at winning. And it's not from wet blanketing people. So, uh, yeah. So I guess that's positive. But that's about it. Percy says one's card is a lot better. Yes, I'm trying to breeze through this so we can just get to talk about one because that's what I'd rather talk about. But we got to talk about this. That being said, we're not going to talk about all of them, so we're skipping the co-main event because it was horrible. No disrespect to Pat Sabatini, but the fight was bad. We're skipping that one. We're going to Cheng Ho Lee versus Cortavius Romeus, which sounds like, I mean, fuck. I'm not going to make any more original jokes that haven't been made about this dude's name, but yeah, this was actually a fun fight, fun scrap. It's crazy that this was like the feature bout right behind the co-main, but that's what this card was. But this was a wild one. It was just two dudes trying to kill each other. Cheng Ho Lee's the Korean Khabib, as everybody calls him, and he showed it again. He busted up Cortavius. It was a nice bloody fight. I don't know, Genevieve, if you watched this one, if you watched all the UFC card, I'm sorry if you did, but hopefully you saw this one at least. Because yeah, he busted him open. Cortavius tried to go for an armbar at one point, and that was kind of his demise. He slipped off. I guess you're slipping off, so you try for something in that case because you're already losing the position. He goes for the arm, almost gets it, but it's too. His elbow is way far removed from the leg, so he really only has like half of the arm instead of like the full arm extended in the armbar. So Cheng Ho Lee ends up on top and then just beats the snot out of him for like 35, 40 seconds, just nonstop barrage of punches. And Cortavius is still like moving and active and stuff. But at this point, I mean, you can't just do that for a full minute. So they stopped it, uh, and then Shang Li gets a win. Um, yeah, I'm not super. Fuck. I mean, this card sucked. uh, Genevieve says, I did not see this one. I did see the bloody prelim, though. Yes, there was a bloody one on the prelims as well. And I think we're going to talk about that one too. Um, James says, Is Cortavius a cool name? And Rich in the chat says, Cool Tavius. Yeah, I mean, fuck, dude, what are we doing here? Cheng Ho Lee, actually, I do want to see more of. What's he done in the UFC so far? Was this his second fight? I think it was his second fight. Yes, second fight. Had that split decision. That was actually a fun fight as well. So yeah, I think he's someone to watch. Who knows what the ceiling is, but definitely going to be fun, aggressive fights. I like guys who take people down with the intention of hurting them instead of just scoring points with control. So if you also like that, that's someone to watch. We're skipping Brad Tavares versus Gerald Meerschaert because Jesus Christ. We're skipping Ode Osborne, even though he got a left hook knockout. That was cool, but the fight largely wasn't worth really talking about. We'll see how I feel about maybe going back to Torres Finney, because also, Jesus Christ, what was that? We're skipping Barbosa because she submitted someone who got submitted by Meatball Molly, so that doesn't really matter. And we're going into Reese McKee versus Daniel Frunza. Reese McKee, he kind of came into the UFC with a decent amount of hype just because of the his Cage Warriors career. Fun fighter, flawed fighter. Um, everybody knows him probably from the Hamzat fight because Hamzat fought him. Imagine your UFC debut is Hamzat. And I don't think he hit him once. And that was like the string of few fights that Hamzat started with where he like finished everybody and didn't get hit once across like 3 fights or something. That Reese was one of them. But this fight immediately found the range, had magnets in his hands, could not miss, and was punching where Frunza was rolling. We talk about that a lot, where like someone likes to roll or like have slick head movement, and they slip the same way over and over again. Um, you can Reese McKee. Not everybody makes this adjustment, and it's not like the craziest adjustment, but it is pretty wild how little some people do it, or how free or infrequent it is. You feint to draw their slip, and you punch where they're slipping. It's like it's a lot easier said than done, obviously, but it seems so simple. And McKee was doing that a lot this fight, and really just beat the brakes off of him in the first round. Like I said, could not miss. Got a little careless at the end there. I think he dropped him like 3 or 4 times in the first round. Got a little careless and got stung a couple times in the last like minute or so, just because he was trying to go crazy for the finish. But I think he was just in that kill mode and nothing. He didn't get wobbled or anything, but Frunza started landing, and then they call it after the first round, in between rounds, and you're like, yeah, that eye is pretty bad. And then you're like, no, the doctor didn't stop it because of the eye being swollen. He stopped it because the lip was split, like Robbie Lawler, like Alistair Overeem, like Pet Garfield versus Numpong Na in one. And that's the graphic content that I was about to say before we pulled the picture up, but shout out. Yeah, the lip is fucked. That's not good. You don't like that. It's the first time I've ever seen a fight get stopped because of it, though. All 3 of those fights I just mentioned, Robbie Lawler, Alistair Overeem, Pet Garfield, none of them got stopped because of this. This is the first time I've ever seen a fight get stopped like this. Maybe it's the right call, because Jesus Christ, it's horrible. And that was it. So there's Genevieve, right on cue. Let's see. Fuck, dude, this card was horrible. I was like, yeah, we'll spend 20 minutes talking about the UFC and then switch over to one. But here we are, 14 minutes in, 15 minutes in, and that's largely what was worth talking about. So let's go back to Torres Finney. No. Poza pointed this out, but Torres Finney has fought 3 times in the Apex to debut on the Apex. Yes, he fought in Contender Series, Dana White. There's like it went viral because Dana White was like, basically, you aren't ready and you're never going to be, and you suck. And he's just like, damn, he's just standing there listening to him. It's not that bad, but it almost is. He's just standing there while Dana's talking about how bad he is and like how he'll never sign him or whatever. Here he is. He's on the actual somehow this is an actual UFC card, and he's here, and I think he threw like 10 punches his whole fight, which he won. Um, Loma Lookboonmee had a fight. She looked good. I guess the other fight that's worth mentioning is the Victor Henry versus Pedro Falcao. That was actually a pretty sick fight. I really like Victor Henry. He's super crafty, and it makes sense because Josh Barnett is his head coach, and the guy is like, I mean, what he's 25-7. It looks like, yeah, he's had a ton of fights. That really shows. I mean, if you go through his record, it's not like anything too crazy, but a lot of these fights are very, very fun. He lost to Charles Jourdain, which is like no slouch. Charles Jourdain is kind of streaky, but he is dangerous. Sun Tzu he lost to. Um, those are his only two UFC losses, and that's not too bad. Uh, both of those are pretty decent names to lose to, but I mean, he's just super crafty with his get ups. He had his back taken a few times, and while they're talking about why he's putting himself into bad positions to get up, and but it's working every time. So it's like, what do you? And he clearly knows what he's doing. He knows those positions very well. That's actually a fun fight. If you didn't see that fight, Victor Henry, definitely, if you have nothing to do and you absolutely want to watch a fight that you missed, it's a very special case. Go back and watch that one. There's some cool, slick things you can see from Victor Henry. James says, "Can I ask you something about Loma?" Yes, Loma had Wei Li as her main sparring partner in 2022 and 2023. She is getting taken down by lesser girls and struggling. Do you know why? I mean, it's such an open-ended question. And yeah, she's at Bang Tao, I think, right? So yeah, I mean, she's getting working with Zhang Wei Li, but just because you're training with a good wrestler doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna just automatically be a god at takedown defense. Um, and yeah, she's training with Zhang Wei Li, but let's be honest, if they fought, Zhang Wei Li's probably taking her down at will. So just because they're training together doesn't mean that necessarily they're going to like absolutely fix the holes of another sparring partner, if that makes sense. There's a lot of guys who um, I'm trying to think of a good example. It's not the best example because he's pretty decent at takedown defense, but if you think about like Wonder Boy, he spent so much time training with like, I mean, even GSP early in his career, and then Chris Weidman for a long time in his career, but still struggled with wrestling throughout most of his career because he's such a pure striker. And Loma, let's be real, is a pure striker. So I think that's hopefully that answers your question. Where are we at? We're at 18 minutes. Fucking hell, man. Martin Budai versus Salty Baldiev. It's not salty, but we'll say it's salty. I guess the only thing worth talking about in this fight was let's see, Dominic Cruz and Bisping arguing for the entire first round about if it matters giving up 60 pounds of weight difference. Dominic Cruz is saying, yeah, it still matters just because it's heavyweight, but it still matters. And Bisping's like, yeah, but he's really tough. And Cruz is like, yeah, but the weight does matter. And he's like, well, it's really 45. It's fucking horrible. Ghost says Darren Till and Hamzat is an example too. Yeah, that's a perfect example. Darren Till, yeah, trained with Hamzat a ton. They were like having their little reality show together, basically, launching all their crypto stuff. Then he fought Dricus du Plessis, and every time Dricus leaned on him, he fell backwards and onto his back. And it's like, man, that's what has he been doing with Hamzat? But that's just kind of how it goes. Just because your sparring partners are really good at something that you maybe aren't so great at, doesn't mean that they're actually gonna just fix that hole. It still takes a lot of work. All right, that's it. What what did we miss? We got moment of silence for the fights we missed on this card. Would it have made anything better? Giga Chikadze versus David Onama would have been fun, actually. And Zechiku was supposed to fight Budai. That fight would have sucked. Loma was supposed to fight Carnelosi. That would have been decent, I guess. Probably better than the Stella Nunes fight. And then the big one that I was really bummed about losing was Davey Grant versus Daniel Santos. That fight would have been fucking awesome. That was like going into this card for a while, that was like the only silver lining. Like I said earlier, Lerone Murphy versus Emmett, I thought was going to be a lot better on paper. But Davy Grant, I've never seen him in a boring fight, and Daniel Santos is someone who can crack as well. So he's a scrappy dude. That would have been fun. Bonuses. What did we get for bonuses? Shang Ho Lee got a bonus for his ground and pound. I guess, yeah, that's deserved. We had Ode Osborne. He got one for his left hook knockout. And then Reese McKee got one. I think that's deserved, like 4 knockdowns in 1 round. And then Barbosa got one for subbing Velveeta. Jesus Christ. I did see Capoza also mentioned this is the 4th. It seems crazy to me. Is this really the 4th? Maybe it's excluding numbered events. Maybe it is including them. I don't know. But 4th UFC event in a row without a fight of the night bonus. Just to talk about the state of the UFC right now, 4 events without a fight worthy of being fight of the night. It's fucking crazy. Ghost says Davy Grant versus Victor Henry is a dream fight. Yeah, that would be fucking awesome. And both of those guys are so crafty at just finding little techniques to throw off weird angles and setting, like, very cool with setups and feints and just finding things and exploiting what your opponent is giving you. That would actually be a sick ass fight. Damn. Yeah, let's do that. Let's make that happen. Especially while we can. Davy Grant's getting up there. Okay. That's it. Let's move on. So yes, we are going to switch. No more UFC talk. Thank God. We are going over to the realm of one championship. Whoa, look at the switch. We got one Fight Night 30. And I'm just seeing now. Oh, Rich, I think we're in the watch party studio. There we go. My bad. I made 2, Rich, while you were gone. So you're probably like, what the fuck? Shout out Smitty. You're joining just in time. We are switching over to one Fight Night 30. Roman Kriklia versus Lyndon Knowles. Also co-headlining, at least on paper at first, was Regian Ursel versus Alexei Nicholas 3, the trilogy, the finale. But Ursel lost his belt. He didn't make hydration. So here we go. No more belt. So Kriklia versus Knowles is the final headline on this card. And man, and also if you're just joining, like, subscribe, do all that stuff. We got timestamps if you're not watching this live. So if you want to skip to a fight, you can do so. So let's get into it. Heavyweight. Man. Heavyweights with 4-ounce gloves in one is crazy. And this is no exception. This is a heavyweight Muay Thai title fight. And Roman Kriklia is a gigantic human being. And Lyndon Knowles is not as big. So let me just pull up. I think they put a good clip on their Instagram. Shout out to one for letting us show clips. Yes, here it is. There's the finish right there. A right hand straight down the pipe. He walks away and says, that's all she wrote. That's a nasty one. How did we get there? Surely that wasn't the whole thing in the fight. Yes, it basically was. Oh, look at this camera, Rich. I kind of like that when it's just one person. Let's do that, Rich. Let's go back to, yeah, look at that. There I am. But yes, Lyndon Knowles, he's getting up there. I think he's right 38 or something like that. He's got a ton of fights under his belt. You may have seen him in the corner of the Haggerty Bros. He's around all the time. But he's a well-respected name in Muay Thai. And heavyweight Muay Thai is not super deep, let's be real. You talk about heavyweight MMA, people say, Jesus Christ, what are we doing with some of these guys? Muay Thai is even more slim, I would say. Roman Kriklia, kickboxer, Muay Thai champ. He's a savage. I think he's 6'7", giant man. So I thought, okay, this is going to be a tough one. Lyndon Knowles making his one debut. Making his 4-ounce, I believe, debut. I don't think I've ever seen him fight with 4-ounce gloves before. And that's a whole nother ball game. I saw the Hitman, Liam Harrison, talking about how older fighters just should not be fighting in 4-ounce gloves. It's too hard. Jesus Christ, look at Roman Krikula just shredded in this picture. But he basically, I thought early on in the fight, Lyndon Knowles is trying to clinch and work in the clinch. And in one, you don't really get to do that as much as you do in traditional Muay Thai. And I thought that's probably his best bet is to try to work in the clinch and just cut him up with elbows, maybe. He's a stockier guy, so maybe pull down on him. And Krikla is just too strong, and he's just shucking him off over and over again. He cracks him and drops him up on the ropes, knocks him down, and it's a bad one. They get up, he kicks him in the head. He falls down. Olivier calls it a slip, so he's like, "All right, get up." And Roman is walking away as he thinks he knocks him down with the high kick from here, and it looked like it. He's walking away, and he's like, "All right, cool. There's another one." It just looks like another day in the office. It's just get in, get out. And then Olivier's like, "No, no, no, not a knockdown." So he's like, "Oh, okay." Walks over and just 1-2, like we saw in the clip at the beginning of this, and just ices him. And yeah, people are already talking about it. That's Ricky Sewell in the background, reacting to that, and it was a doozy. I mean, man, heavyweights just hit so fucking hard, and the way they go down it's pretty scary. And that it was a doozy. I mean, head goes through the ropes, head bounces off the mat, and Roman just walks away. He knows it's over. Yeah, that's a doozy. To one debut, fight for the belt against a beast like Roman, and then just get flatlined like that, dropped 3 times, like technically twice, but 3 times really, with punches, a head kick, and then a right straight. God damn. HLB Comer says well deserved for that outfit. Hey man, he's a character. Let him do his thing. And also shout out HLB Comer. And then Blunderbub says he's just sent a reaction. Let me see if I can pull that up. Yeah, here's it's a doozy, man. That's a bad one. Thanks for sending that, Blunderbub. Yeah, and I don't know if they took him him out on a stretcher, but maybe. I mean, that was bad. I didn't see that if they did, but it wouldn't surprise me. But that's heavyweight Muay Thai, especially with the 4-ounce gloves, man. That's just crazy. And then yeah, Chingiz is in the corner with Roman, just a beast, looking fucking jacked still. I know he's hopefully coming back soon. Yeah, Smitty says they need a heavyweight tournament like Glory just had. They need to generate some contenders. Yeah, and that was actually a decent card. Glory 99 opened up their heavyweight tournament, 32 heavyweights, kickboxing. And I know that one is watching that as well because a lot of those guys are signed just for that tournament that Glory's having. They're not like rostered with like 4-fight deals or anything like that with Glory. Some of them are, but a lot of them are just signed for that tournament. And then obviously if they win or something, I'm sure Glory's going to be like, hey, stick around. But yeah, one is watching that, and hopefully they'll get some talent for Roman to fight because there's 3 fighters in that tournament that are former 1 heavyweights. Aziz Pour, who else was on that? Shit, I don't remember. But yeah, there's 3 heavyweights that were in one. Roman just needs fights, man. But it's hard to find. You know, he's got the kickboxing belt, he's got the Muay Thai belt, so he's got 2 avenues, but it's just not a ton of heavyweights out there. But hopefully after this Glory tournament, they'll sign some people and get him. I'd like to see him active because man, he is very skilled, very very skilled. But yeah, that's it. That was spent more time talking about that fight than I thought I would. Co-main event. Let's see. We had Regian Irsol versus Alexei Nicolas. The third. 3 times. First time, the shock. Alexei beats Irsol, takes the belt. Lightweight kickboxing championship. Again, Irsol double champ, Muay Thai and kickboxing. But yeah, Alexei came in, knocked him out, or not knocked him out, knocked him down, and then won. Rematch, and it was the rematch was one of my favorite fights of the year. It was just like fucking beautiful. Just these guys are so skilled. So they do the third time because they're 1-1 against each other. Irsol walks out with the immortal mask because he's immortal, which is just so cool, especially with the red. I think it's red. I'm colorblind. But yeah, Ursul lost his belt on the scales, so this is no longer for the belt. If Ursul wins, I think if Alexei won, he would have got the belt, which kind of puts some sourness on the trilogy. But man, this was sick. Once again, I mean, these guys are so skilled, and what's sick about this is because they've fought twice already, they fought 10 rounds with each other. Ursul starts this fight like a man possessed because he's not. There's no feeling out process. Oh, how's this guy fight? He's fought 10 rounds with them, and that goes for Alexei as well. And man, just Ursul's forward pressure, and it's always been this way. It's not just this fight, but he's such an avalanche, and he's so good at mixing up his strikes and his head movement and his angles. And Alexei looks like he's starting a little bit slower, and then eventually, I think it's second round, Ursul cracks him while he's on one leg with the left hook and puts him down. And I was like, "Holy shit!" I mean, look at this shot, dude. Also, great photos from this fight. Ursul cracked him a few times in this one. Um, I think the next two pictures, Rich, are like continuations of that. Yeah, I mean, come on. So sick. I don't think they posted like a good clip of the knockdown on their Instagram. If they did, I don't have it pulled up, so I won't spend time looking for it right now. But or maybe I will. No, I won't. Um, but yeah, Ursul just he's slick as hell, and so is Alexei. Man, Alexei, he lost this fight, and I thought this was a pretty clear Ursul win. He just the left hook was landing the entire fight. He was slipping shots from Alexei. He just this was like vintage Ursul. This guy's at the top of his game. He's so fucking good. It's such a bummer that he missed hydration and lost his belt. Um, but and I'm not going to say he completely outclassed him because Alexei was there the whole time and he was landing shots. But some of the stuff that Ursul does, his setups, his forward pressure is crazy. And in the first fight, one of the things that really helped Alexei, which people have been kind of calling for watching Ursul fight, is leg kicks because he's so heavy pressure, heavy pressure, heavy pressure. He's really stepping in on that lead leg and really leaning over it and planting his weight onto it. So he used to not really check leg kicks all that much, but and Alexei really took advantage of that in the first fight. And since then, he's checking a lot more kicks, crossbody checks, things like that. As Smitty points out, Alexei looked good first two rounds with leg kicks. Exactly. And but yeah, that knockdown fucking really set the stage. And from then on, it was I don't want to say Ursul pitched a shutout or anything like that, but he damn near did. He looked so good. This is the type of performance you want in a trilogy bout when they're both 1-1, right? This like solidifies. And I know some people are saying they want a fourth. I don't want a fourth, but they're saying because he missed hydration, there should be a fourth. I don't I don't think that's the case. I don't need a fourth. I'd like to see Ursul defend his Muay Thai belt, which kind of sucks that Menchkov's gone because that was clearly like we don't know if Menchkov's gone, but he tested positive for steroids and he called him out publicly saying he was going to sue him for contract disputes. And Chachi was like, "What? We've offered you the fights that we need to offer you." So I doubt we're seeing that fight. They're not going to give him a title shot. But God, look at some of these fucking pictures, man. Also, shout out the photographers in one. They're so goddamn good. And yeah, Blunderbub, majority decision. I don't know. I'm not sure. I think one judges are usually pretty good. I didn't see who gave this to Alexei, but I don't see how that's possible. James says, "Did you ever read Jack Slack's article about Ursul?" No, I didn't, but I should. That sounds sick. I must have missed that somehow. But yes, Ursul gets the win. I like both these guys a lot. I think Alexei took a lot of people by surprise when he came over to one and he beat Ursul. I don't think a lot of people knew. I don't think a lot of the one crowd knew who he was when he came in. And across these three fights, yeah, he may have lost two of them, but he proved that he's fucking elite, man. I really, really like his style. He's a clean fighter. He just is a step behind in these two fights. I think if they fought 10 times, we might see a few different outcomes. But yeah, Combat Sports Today, shout out Phil. We here solo episode. Phil, if you want to jump in, let me know. I'll get you in here. I don't know what you're up to, but we're just covering some of the one fights. But and with that, we are going to move on to Nico Carrillo versus Sidichai. Damn, Nico Carrillo. This is his first time up in weight. Let's go ahead and take a look at the finish. He gets a finish with a body shot, and it was a doozy. We like body shots on here. So let's see it. Oh my god, dude. Left hook to the liver, and this was the second one. He already dropped him once with a body shot, and this was the second one. I mean, god damn, he's jacked, huh? Holy shit. Man. Phil's in bed. I don't see the problem, Phil. But yes, so Nico Carrillo versus Sidichai. We just watched the finish. Like I said, this is Carrillo's debut at featherweight. He lost to Nabil in the weight class below. So he was like, fuck this. I'm done with this weight cut. Everybody called him a weight bully for his whole career down there because he's huge. He fought Nabil, who's even bigger, at least longer. He got finished by Nabil. It was pretty shocking. And he was like, fuck this weight cut. Never again. I'm going up. Everyone's like, let's see how he does when he's no longer the weight bully. That's what a lot of people were saying. Not me, Nico. I like you, Nico. But that's what a lot of people were saying. So he goes up against Sidichai, who ends up being smaller than him at the weight class. So you're like, Jesus Christ, man. He's going up a weight class. He's still bigger than these guys. And yes, as Ghost says, Carrillo's still leaning back, playing tall man's defense. Yes, he is. And he got caught a couple times. Sidichai's dangerous. And he got caught a couple times because of that lean back. That being said, and I do want to note that I believe Sidichai is one of my favorite guys to watch purely for defense. I think he's a defensive wizard. He's been doing it a long time. He's up there in age, but his defensive skills are just so goddamn good. Genevieve says, I like Carrillo a lot. I love not being able to understand him during his interviews. Yeah, once he's hyped too and he starts talking quick. But one thing I really liked about this fight is Sidichai's, like I said, Sidichai's defense is very, very good. And Nico really likes to throw like long straight punches as like power shots as he just leaps in on people, and he gets caught. Like if you watch the Nongo fight, yeah, he got him out, but Nongo cracked him a few times. Like Ghost says, Nabil punishes him for it. But Sidichai is so good defensively that I think Nico really added a wrinkle in this fight, and it's not like a crazy wrinkle. I'm not saying this is like crazy mid-fight adjustment of the year, like, and everyone brings up DC versus Stipe, where Stipe starts going to the body, and you're like, what an adjustment. But this one, Nico is having trouble landing like his like hands on Sidichai, obviously because Sidichai is so good with his defense, with his footwork, with his angles, things like that. So he just starts folding elbows over the hands of Sidichai, and he cuts him open. And because of that, after that, he just started spamming elbows. Every time they got close, he's just spamming these elbows. And because of that, Sidichai needs to defend those elbows. So he changes to a high guard. And because of that, it opens up the body for these body shots. He gets the 2 body shot knockdowns, liver shots, left hooks to the liver that put him down. And then the second time puts him out. Just another impressive fight for Nico. He's still showing, like Ghost says, there's some holes defensively that I know he's aware of. He's talked about them. James mentioning interview, shout out Val Dewar, interviewed Nico. I did not see that, but I know Val's been getting a lot of interviews with these one guys. So shout out Val. But yeah, Nico, I think this weight class, clearly he's not like too small for it. He was bigger than Sidichai. I'm not saying Sidichai is a huge featherweight, but it bodes well for him moving forward. And then I don't know if it's still active, but both of them got together, and it was actually the boy. Shout out Tristan from Sitsong Penang, where Sidichai is training. But they decided they're gonna auction off their shorts from this fight, and then donate the money to the earthquake relief over there in Thailand. Myanmar and Thailand got hit pretty bad with the earthquake, so they're auctioning off those shorts. And if it's still open, check that out. Check out maybe go to Nick Atkins Twitter. He's got the link for it. But yeah, they give him the bonus. Nico does the backflips, a couple backflips, and he's hyped. And Genevieve says, I'm usually pretty good with Scottish accents, but he gets excited and just question marks. Yes, and Austin says just a total monster. His KO power is so crazy. Sidichai picked Noiti apart like 3 fights ago and just got dismantled here. The way he targets the bodies too is great. Not just headhunting. Well, normally he is headhunting a lot, but this one was good. I feel like Haggerty and Nico would be so huge if they put on an event in UK. So I think Haggerty wins that one personally, but Nico's power is a game changer, so he even knows. Yeah, now going up the weight class, I don't think it happened. It seems like they've squashed the beef. Um, and there's actually, speaking of that, let's watch. Haggerty was watching the knockout backstage. What the fuck are these fucking comments, dude? These gifs. Oh man. But yeah, it seems like they squashed the beef. I cut it right before he did a little. But yes, I think if they do a UK show, it sucks that they announced already Liam versus Solin U. That's not in the UK. But if they did a UK show with Liam, Haggerty, Nico, that shit would be crazy. That would be really, really cool. They don't all have to fight each other. Just stack the card with those boys. Get Freddy on there as well. Ghost says Sidichai push and pivot is trademark defense. So the elbows from Carrillo was a nice touch. Yeah, I actually thought he was gonna. Well, I didn't know. I didn't know what was going to happen, but I was very intrigued by this fight because of Sidichai's defense and Nico's offense. One's a very defensive fighter, one's a very offensive fighter, and I thought that was a really cool mix. And I thought it could be, I thought it could play out very interesting, and I thought it did. I thought this fight largely delivered. One sec, let me send this really quick. Hopefully delivered for you guys too. But it was fun. Okay, moving on. Let's see, what do we got next? Asa Pao, ATP, my boy, versus Sexon, also my boy. The man who yields to no one. Until this one. ATP also training over at Sitong Penang, like Sidichai, for this one. And, Asa, he fought, was his last fight the Lineker fight in Denver? I believe it was. Yes, it was the fight against Lineker, who just swangs and bangs just like Sexon, and that fight didn't go so well for him. He stung Lineker a few times, and if you rewatch that fight in like slow motion, you can see that it's not like Asa got like outclassed. It was like it was just that Lineker is a savage. He just out savaged him. And in this one, it's a very similar matchup. Sexton got a little bit more mileage on him, obviously, than Lineker, and he doesn't hit quite as hard, I would say. But it's a very stylistically similar matchup. And Austin says, this is the fight I was waiting to discuss. My boy Asa got done dirty. 100% deserved that bonus. Him getting salty backstage with Nick when Nico got a bonus is so iconic. Oh my God, I know. But yeah, let's talk about the fight. I was on Nick's stream. We previewed this card with Tristan, who's, like I said, is training with Asa Tempao. And Percy, Asa Tempao, but got shift. No bonus for K on Sexon. Yes. I don't know what's going on with that. No bonus for this one. I don't understand it because Sexon is such a dog and he's hard as nails. I don't know the last time Sexon got finished in a fight. And not for lack of trying. Some of the fights he's had are just dog fights. The even the Liam Harrison fight in Denver, Liam cracked him a few times. But Asa just, I mean, you don't want to say like, oh, the chin's gone or anything like that. He's been in so many wars, but maybe that plays a little bit of a factor. But I think some of the shots that he hit from Asa, and Asa was hitting him. It's not just that he was hitting him; it was when he was hitting him. And I thought going into this, if Asa learns from that Lineker fight, and I'm not saying Sexton and Lineker are the same fighter, but there's similarities to their game. And I thought Asa, with his footwork, with his movement, with his volume, and the guy's kind of a sniper in there, I thought that could be a recipe for disaster for Sexton. And let's not just take my word for it. Let's talk to somebody who was there for it. if we want to bring in the boy. Whoa.
Sorry, Will, I'm really late.
It's-
I know I was meant to be here earlier.
No worries, dude. No worries.
Yeah,
How you doing?
I'm good. Yeah, apologies again. Well, how many fights have I missed? Sorry.
You're good, dude. Just all the important ones.
Okay, or I can
No.
maybe give you some thoughts on them after you finish your
Yeah.
rundown if you want.
No, it's all good. I'm kidding. We're just talking about Asa Tempao versus Sexon right now.
Yeah.
And I haven't really got into the actual like fight itself. It was a lot of just the precursor stuff, just the kind of the setup for the matchmaking. Um, Rich already in the chat saying hair is flowing, Nick.
Yeah, it's down today. Cooler weather at the moment, so let it flow.
Yeah, and also shout out Nick in the description. Check the description. We got his socials down there. So make sure if you're watching the show, you're probably already following him. But if you're not, go down there and follow him because he's got great coverage. Like Austin said, an iconic video with Asa post fight.
Which
But
one?
what was this?
The interview or the
reaction?
reaction? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Asa versus Sexon at Lumpini, I would imagine enemy territory for Asa going into this one. Sexon's probably a crowd favorite out there. What was kind of the crowd like when this started going the way it was going? Because about a minute and a half in, Asa cracks Sexon and drops him, and it looks bad the way Sexon falls, where he tries to plant his arm and it ends up behind him, and it was like, oh shit! And from then on, it was just a steamrolling.
Yeah, I think the crowd deflated at that point. Putting a pin in a balloon. It's one of those things. It's not like they're being rude or disrespectful to
Mm-hmm.
Asa. I think the energy just goes a bit, but I think they respected what he did. He got a big reception at the end, and I think the crowd acknowledged it. It wasn't one of those. I've been there for fights where it's super close, or even the other way. Atari, they feel gets robbed. So then I've seen them get hostile. I've seen them throw things in the ring. I've seen the little light up watches after a couple fights.
Yeah.
So there was none of that. I think they all knew Sexton had been flogged completely, and there's no shame in it. Asa was on point, perfect performance, counter punching. He was brilliant. Yeah. So
yeah,
I think they were all just as shocked as I was. There's no interview because the lights went off, and then it was a strange atmosphere. Yeah. We're all waiting to hear from him.
Yeah, and I guess we'll get into that. I just want to say real quick that the early on in the fight, I think the game plan was very good. I think Asa probably stuck to that game plan perfectly. I really like the leg kicks because Sexton walks forward so much. We talked about it with Ursul, where Ursul walks forward so much that his legs are a little susceptible to leg kicks, right? And we talked about it because I think largely he's addressed that in this trilogy with Alexei. But Sexton is kind of a similar thing where you can't really let him start snowballing because he'll avalanche guys and he'll just build and build and build with that pressure. But I thought the leg kicks were very good from Asa because he's so heavy on his legs. You can kick him out and they'll do more damage. And he's knocking him off balance with leg kicks to then land on the head with his hands. And it was just beautiful. Like you said, you want to look at someone in a flow state in a fight. This is one of those fights where everything you're doing is working. It seemed like he saw all of Sexton's shots coming before he was even throwing them, and he's rolling with those shots. Like he knew the entries. I'm sure they watched tape and they know the patterns of Sexton because he clearly understood his game. But so he knocks him down in the first round, knocks him down in the second round, gets the finish in the third round, and then nothing. And that, it kind of blows my mind. And I think with these fight nights specifically, maybe the numbered cards too, I don't really remember it being the case, but recently there's been less post-fight interviews on these fight nights. And I know a lot of the feedback they're getting as far as like, okay, criticism or positive things for these fight nights from the US audience is we love the pacing. The pacing's great. It's nonstop action. The pacing's great. There's no long commercial breaks. Like, dude, the UFC this weekend It was one of the worst cards I've ever watched from a high profile promotion. And normally, if there's a Blood Rose, Nikki was
That's like I missed it.
normally
You
if it's
sure,
the
Will? You
prelims,
sure?
yeah. Ah man, normally on the prelims, if someone gets a knockout, okay, we're getting 20 minutes of commercials because the main card needs to start at 5 or whatever, at 7, and there's knockout on the prelims. Now there's one less fight that's going to go to the full duration, and we need to make sure that that main card starts at 7. So we need to fill that time. Main cards normally don't have that issue. You get a first round stoppage on a main card, there's no time slot for the next fight to start or the next event to start. You're just rolling. This last one was 30 minutes in between fights. It was fucking terrible. But this one, so that being said, they get a lot of feedback that their pacing is some of the best in the business. And I think one knows that they have very good pacing and that people like that. There's no fluff. At least when you're watching on Amazon, I can't speak to when it's Sky Sports, but when you're watching Amazon, you might get one commercial for an Amazon product in between fights, and you might get a 3-minute video of knockouts from previous one fights, and then you're on to the next one. And that's great. And I'm wondering if they're thinking people like the pacing. How can we make it even faster? Well, let's stop interviewing all of the winners, and we're going to only interview some of them. I don't know if that's the case, but I don't get it. I guess the trade-off for me is, okay, the pacing gets better because we're going into more fights, but I think if you want to get, and that'll help you gain that North American audience, but the other thing that will help that North American audience get behind you is finding fighters to latch themselves onto. And one of the ways that you can get that is by getting to watch the interviews of these fighters that if I didn't know who these guys were.
American, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. If I didn't know who these guys were and I just I opened Amazon, there's like, oh, there's fights. And I watched this performance, I'd be like, who the fuck is this guy? I want to know what this guy's about. And then they don't give him a chance to show more of his character outside of just the fight. I think that's a missed opportunity.
Well, hopefully that's somewhere I come in, with my interviews. But the average viewer in the US, isn't gonna find my stuff unless they search it and get lucky with a YouTube algorithm.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, that's Asa didn't get a bonus.
Well, you might be right with the pacing thing, and I do love the pacing of one shows, even in the arena. Yeah, it's like boom, 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 boom. I almost wish sometimes there were bigger breaks because I'd have more time to go interview these people, then come back and not miss the next fight. But
okay, I actually I had a theory. So yeah, did you get to see any of the Nico fight at all?
Nope, missed it.
Yeah.
I was in the room with Asa. You could see on that video I posted. He's pacing around, and then we were doing our interview when the TKO happened. So we literally watching it out of the side of my eye. But that's the game. I had Giuliano out there with the camera to catch all the action. But pacing. I wouldn't.
That's just a theory. I don't know if that's.
I get that, and then I think they've just conditioned people though to expect the interview for the bonus. I wouldn't mind if they didn't have those interviews, as long as there's some sort of thing where Dana would, he sits down with the media in the US, says, right, well, here are the bonuses, boom, 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 reads it off. If we had similar there, but Chatri's not normally there anymore for the fight nights, so there's no actual press conference per se. It's just interviews. If they could flash something up on screen, say, Chatri has notified us, Asa's got a bonus, things like that. Fine, you don't need the interview. But no, for me, there's like no excuse on this one. I think it should have been a bonus, and it's a big, I think, a top 5 bonus snub in one history. There's no explanation for it. I think, it's pretty bad. Like from if I'm Asa, I'd be furious. I'd be disappointed. I would think, why would you not give a bonus? Because it's not going to help. Why are guys going to take fights with Seksan or Tong Poon or like the Thai killers if they don't get the 50K? They're probably not incentivized anymore to risk taking a fight against guys who can knock you out and get a bonus for it. Guaranteed Seksan got a bonus if he knocks out Asa.
That's what I was about to ask.
Guaranteed Tong Poon gets a bonus if he knocks out El Jamari.
Mhm.
Why should it not be the other way around? Yeah, I don't know what they were thinking with this one. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
Chatri
maybe.
a couple times Chatri has changed his mind on things, with
Mhm.
Supergirl against Stamp and,
With the contract ones too, right?
the
Who was
contract with
that?
George Jarvis, yeah, who was on
Yeah,
this card.
yeah.
So I'm hoping maybe Chatri makes it up to Asa and changes his mind. I hope so, because Asa's a really nice guy, he deserves it, and like you say, trying to build American stars for American market, which we're trying to break into if you're one championship. You have a big show in America coming up in Denver. What better way to hype that? Get Asa on the mic, give him 50K, give him a shout out to call
Get
a
that
fight for
crazy.
Denver in August. Uh,
Exactly.
I think it was a mistake. Yeah. If I'm putting my hat on as a potential fan, promoter, fighter, I think, yeah, I would just don't think it was the right call to not give him a bonus.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, I haven't seen anybody make the argument against giving him the
No, no
bonus.
one's, yeah, again, yeah, it invites bad comments on social media. Yeah, everyone's
The
at
buzz
least,
should be about the fight itself, not about
yeah,
this,
yeah.
you know?
It's risking overshadowing what for me was a great fight and a great card
Mhm.
overall.
Yeah.
I don't see any. Yeah, there's no reason he shouldn't have got one. No one missed weight or anything. He also took a catch weight, which was going down into Sexan's territory. Sexan likes to play. He's a great
Catch
guy,
weight.
but I think a lot of it is mind games, like trying to get these guys down to come meet him and then deplete their bodies that little extra more so that he's fresher. He did it with Liam Harrison. Liam was annoyed.
Yeah.
3 pounds can make a lot of difference, and Asa had to really push for that extra mile. I saw him, on Thursday before the weigh-ins, and it wasn't a guarantee he was gonna make it, but, he did it. He was professional about it. So,
But that does have an effect. Okay, so we're gonna move on. Shout out Asa Ten Pal. That was a sick ass fight.
yeah,
Fantastic performance. We're gonna move on to Zakharov versus Bokang.
yeah.
Speaking of weight classes, Bokang going up. Um, hello.
Everyone's going, "Hello."
Don't know what happened. But yeah, Bokang going up in weight class, and Zakirov. I think it's just a matter of time before he's fighting for the belt. I don't know if they're doing it now after this one, but I don't see why not. At least throw him in a mix, maybe one more fight for a
Yeah.
number one contender fight. Um,
Well, I think Reese sounds like Reese has got the next shot
True,
flyweight, and
which actually, yeah, I
yeah,
forgot that he just posted what yesterday or something.
yeah, I don't think Sanjar will ever go down again. He shouldn't. So,
Yeah,
yeah, I think this one sets him up for, I don't know, maybe a top 5 flyweight. But
I
I
think.
wouldn't rush it with him, he's,
I
let him
guess yeah.
find his feet.
This is one of the divisions where there isn't really short of matchmaking for the
Yeah,
champ.
he could have so many people there. Yeah, Moraes, uh, Danny Kingad, just stick out top of my
Mhm.
head. There's a few
That's a
people he
fun fight.
could match up with first. So, but I would expect him to be fighting for the belt. Yeah, if not this year, next year, probably next
Yeah,
year.
probably next year. But yeah, this fight actually, I think Bokang probably earned a lot of respect from people in this one, because obviously you see the tail of the tape, and then you see them like the face off at the beginning of the fight. The size difference is pretty noticeable. But that being said, Bokang's a dog, dude.
Yeah,
He took him down a couple times. I was very impressed with the takedown ability in this one because you see anybody with the last name ending with OV,
hmm
and you're like, well, that guy's probably good at wrestling. And Bokang mixed in his grappling very well. Uh, but I think that's kind of about it that he got going. He landed a couple shots up top, and especially towards the fight was trailing off. You could see both of them were getting pretty tired because the volume from Zakirov was super high. Um, and just fought well with the height advantage. Not everybody can fight well with the height advantage, but he did. Long straight punches, knees, jumping knees, things like that, front kicks. Uh, just a good showcase from a guy who's on the come up, still very young in the game, like you said. No need to rush things. Um, he got cracked in his last fight, getting maybe a little careless, thinking he was up so much. So there's still like learning opportunities in these fights for him at this stage. But that being said, I thought this fight was actually pretty fun.
It
For
was,
MMA
yeah.
goes, it was a fun match.
Yeah, I like both
Booking's tough as
guys.
nails. Yeah.
Yeah, he is. His wrestling's great. And I know why he went and took this fight in flyweight, but I think he should stay at strawweight. Just the
Yeah.
height difference is too much here. And I've spent, a couple days hanging out with his crew. He has quite a great support network coming over from South Africa.
Mhm.
Some of the guys, shout out Steph, Ryan, all the boys. He's at the same gym as Drickus, and he had one of Drickus's coaches with him as well, and
Mhm.
they're all incredible what they do, and they did their best. But I think it was just too much. But like I said, I
Yeah.
understand why he took it, because you want to stay active, right? And you don't know when the next fight's coming. It could be waiting all year at the moment, in MMA in one. So it's a great opportunity. If you win it, you kind of earn a shot, not necessarily at flyweight, but at the
Mhm.
strawweight belt, probably just based off taking out a name like Sanjar, who was a former strawweight in flyweight. It doesn't really matter sometimes with weight class in one. So he
Yeah.
probably could have locked up a shot at Joshua or Jared, whatever, whoever
Mhm.
has the belt. By the time he gets there, I'd probably still Joshua. So yeah, I get it, and he did his best, but Sanjar's very slick, very good fighter. So it's a tough
Yeah.
ask, especially with the height. And yeah, I talk it up to it was an opportunity, and no shame. It's sort of a free hit. I know he wasn't looking at it that way, but I think
Mhm. But I
taking it,
do think
yeah,
I do think too, like we said, like and like Blunderbob says, cool example of striking, warding off the grappling. I think a less if Zakharov wasn't legit or who we thought he was, this is a droppable fight for somebody. I think that's how good Boking is, and that's what he showed in this fight. This Boking could beat flyweights. You know what I mean? Like this does show that
Oh, there's a few
Zakharov.
flyweights he would have beaten.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just
this
Zakharov's really
Boking.
good. Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So like I think both their stock goes up in this one despite losing. Boking, I think, like I said,
yeah.
earned a lot of respect from a lot of people. Um,
Well, his
so
team is now talking about they want Jared, I think, in Denver, but
ooh,
that's a good fight. It's just risky though. You lose that, you lost your last 3 fights. So I think maybe play it safer for them. Get him a win
mhm.
before trying to get that Jared fight back. That's what I would say, because
I would say,
yeah, numbers
yeah,
matter in MMA, and people see your record. And, oh, he's lost his last 3 fights. He's a scrub.
yeah,
So he's not. I love Booking. He's very, very good. He's
yeah.
kind of
I'm a
been
big fan.
unfortunate with some timings on his career. He had a title shot locked up, and then pandemic, and never happened. He defended that title shot, so to speak, against Jared, and then
Yeah, that's always tough when that happens, man. When you secure something
yeah,
that big, such a big opportunity, and then you have to protect it, and then it goes
yeah.
away.
And I
Oh,
think if you run that fight back, it doesn't happen that way again, where Jared just jumped on his back for 4 minutes.
mhm.
It's very good from Jared, but I could see it being a lot tougher for Jared to beat him this time. It would be a decision, I'm pretty sure,
Yeah,
for whoever. So yeah, unfortunate. And just have to say, one of the nicest men you'll ever meet, Booking. Like genuine,
that's good to hear.
not a bad bone in his body, wonderful human being. Yeah, I can't say it enough. And he deserves every ounce of good fortune in life. So I'm hoping for him. I would just say stay away from Jared next. Maybe get a he deserves a not a layup, but maybe a slight. He's taking on all the killers, right?
Not a
Mansoor,
contender fight.
all
No,
the
not one where it's
like
title shot
like you
implications.
say, all the EFs and the OVs.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's taking them on. So I'd have to look at the division to see, but I think go away, get a nice win, then maybe look at Jared. Denver might
Yeah,
come too soon, but
August, yeah. Yeah, it's quick. All right. Well, we'll move on. We had the boy Jarvis versus the new boy Chaffee. Not new to the game, but new to Tristan's team. So anybody who trains with Tristan automatically is a boy for me. Um, so this one, I wasn't conflicted going into it, and then finding out from Tristan like last Monday that he's been training over there, I'm like, well, shit. Now I'm conflicted. But this turned out, I think, from the first round, I was like, oh shit, this is gonna be a quick one. And then it turned out to be a banger. Uh, Jarvis steps in, cracks him with a left hook that sits him down bad, like drops him down and like a sack of potatoes. And they both kind of clanged at each other like rams, but the left hook got through from Jarvis and puts him down. And at that moment, I was like, "Oh shit, dude, this is gonna be Jarvis might be able to just firebomb this guy and get him out of here." Joffrey's tough as nails, dude.
Yeah,
Goddamn,
he's
because
tough.
this turned into a pretty much a dogfight. I thought Jarvis was probably ahead for most of it, but Chaffee was right there. I thought he's got kind of a weird, unorthodox style where he's like all limbs. It seems like he's got like a shorter torso, which is great for fighting when you have long arms, long legs, and he knows how to use them. He's marching in with knees. He's throwing these straight punches off of his knees, and he's way out of range after. Uh, he's got an interesting style I really liked, but Jarvis is too much of a dog, dude. Jarvis just stayed in his face, smothered him, spinning back fists, just cool shit. This one must have been fun to watch in person.
It was, yeah. I was similar. I, I kind of was apprehensive. Everyone was saying, Jarvis, but I know Jaffe's record in one says 0-2 before this fight. Now it's
Mhm.
0-3, but I know he's good. Yeah, Tristan tells me a lot, and JP Gallagher's his manager. I think he told me,
Oh,
this guy's for real, and he's beaten Jarvis before
mhm.
in Europe, and he's got credentials outside of one. So I was surprised, yeah, when George just planted him
That
so
was
early.
quick.
Yes, and then it did it again in the second round, but he never looked like he was gonna get him out of there. And then yeah, Jeffrey come
Yeah,
back third round, and yeah, he won that third round, I thought, and
yeah.
he had George scrambling a little towards the end, but George was up enough to just be able to keep him at bay. And I think Jeffrey was to his credit. Yeah, well, I don't know what you want to say. He looked a little out of shape, so wasn't probably his best condition, and he did miss weight or hydration,
Mhm.
however you want to put it. So I presume he got this one on fairly short notice again. I don't know how far they booked it out, but still, don't take away from George. He looked really good here, and I think that solidified him for me as a real threat and
The real deal. Yeah.
the real deal, and probably should be getting the title shot next. I'm not sure who else there is in the division because
Well,
it's
yeah,
opened
that's
up
what I was gonna
nicely for
ask.
him. Yeah.
It seems like they were kinda setting up the Denver fight for him. Uh, there's 2 guys that they've been kind of talking almost like an open secret about fighting in Denver. Smitty says, they were pitching Jarvis versus Earsel. I think that's too soon, though, but who else is there for Earsel? I
Well,
mean, that's
Ursel basically he was supposed to fight in Japan and then
Mhm.
with Nicholas, and they
Yes.
moved that fight. And as a kind of a golden handshake, they said to him, you know, go win this. We'll put you on in Denver. Promise. So I think, yeah, you probably can expect to see Ursel in Denver. So then who's he going to
Yes.
fight? Well, for me, it's either there's no kickboxing
No
contender
Menchikov.
now. Yeah, Menchikov's gone. Since Samut lost, it's either you do Holzkin trilogy, but Ursul's flogged him twice 5 years ago.
Don't need that, to be
So
honest.
it's probably going to be a Muay Thai title defense. So you look realistically, who is it? It's probably only be Jarvis. So I would say I expect that fight to happen. Yeah, in Denver.
Yeah, and they even Mitch was mentioning Denver in the post-fight interview for this one, and you're like, "Okay, well, not everybody got an interview on this card.
Mm,
Jarvis didn't get a bonus.
yeah,
Why did they interview him?"
yeah. Detective Will putting it together. Yeah.
This hat also
So
has a thing on the back too.
yeah,
The
I
old,
think you're right. I didn't even think of that.
I mean, they set it up, right? I don't know who else he fights. Like Smitty said, it might be too soon. In a perfect world, I think it is too soon. But sometimes you got to go with what's available at the time and who's winning or who's kind of got some fire to them. And we've seen that work out in the past where somebody, I mean, we literally just saw it in Japan with Noiti, where he gets that leg kick TKO and it's his first win in one.
Yeah,
And they're like, title shot against Tawanshai. And people are like,
yeah.
what? And then he comes out and he
Sometimes
stopped.
timing just don't matter. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
now is the best moment. Just take. You don't know when the opportunity will come again. If you say, "Oh, you know what? I don't want to fight for the belt. I don't think I'm ready." They're gonna move on and find someone else, and then you
Yeah.
might lose your next fight. They
Might lose
may
your next
just
three.
not come back to you. Yeah. So
Yeah. Got to take it when you can. I'm honestly fine with it. I think that's a fun fight. I don't know how much I'd like Jarvis's chances in that one. How old is he? He's got to be a young dude, right?
26, I think 27.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think I think maybe you do that fight. And that's
That's
I think that's all.
24. Sorry, put my hand up.
24. I mean, Jesus, he could lose to Irsel, and it's not going to be too
It'll
bad
come
of an
back
impact
around.
on his
Yeah.
career.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, look what Nabil did, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's not the same. He's not 24 when he lost to Super League, but there's
And I
similarities you can.
I wonder if Ursul's getting too old now to make this weight. He's a big guy for
Mm,
division, and he might have a problem now because he did everything he normally does to make weight and pass hydration. It just didn't work this time. So if you're George, this might be the time to
what did he
strike.
miss by? Do you know? It was just the hydration that
I don't know what
he
the
made
weight
weight
was
with.
in the end. Yeah, but he came back twice after the end of it because I was kind of sitting downstairs and he walked past. So
Well,
I
one
don't
thing I
know what
remember
the
that
true weight was.
it really stood out to me when you had the last time you had Peter Miller on your show. I don't remember who asked him, um, like, how much is this a miss by for Super Leg when he missed hydration? And Peter said it's so marginal that
Oh,
a retest he could have passed a
oh yeah.
retest on the same
So
sample.
the hydration miss was point. He was kind of 20 point 0271 and then 0281. You have to be
Okay,
250 to pass. So it wasn't
250.
one of
Yeah,
like the
so not as
tiny
close
marginal
as
ones,
yeah.
but
Okay,
it it's I he couldn't explain. He had no idea what happened. He just said shit happens. That's all he said to me. He didn't do anything
yeah,
differently. So
yeah. It's a shame. I do, and it was a great fight too. So I don't know. It sucks that he doesn't have the belt and it wasn't on the line, but it is what it is. Um, okay, that is I think all the fights we're gonna like spend time on. Paul Elliott had a fun heavyweight banger. My boy Ash Williams lost. El Jamari had a nasty knockout of Tong Poon. I thought Macarena looked very good in her fight. And then Carlo, like we said, was probably gonna get a knockout, and he got it. All in all, very good event, I thought. I thought it delivered. I thought all the fights that were supposed to be good were good, and some of the fights that people didn't care about ended up being pretty damn good. Um,
agreed. I think
so yeah,
my overall take is the same. I thought it was a great card actually,
yeah,
all in all. It
yeah, fun
was
stuff.
there's been some fight nights recently which have they always deliver, I think, on when you watch it, but on paper there's been some lately that were a bit
Mhm.
underwhelming. I think this was attractive on paper and it delivered. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I think it was a
Yeah.
good one. It helps when there's fights that are worth being on the Japan card that get moved to a fight night.
Yeah, yeah.
Instantly, it's gonna
I
elevate it.
missed the rundown of the title fight. Sorry. Quickly. Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I expected
yeah.
him to win that. Love Linden. I just think Roman's a monster.
That's a tough. Like I
Yeah.
said, it's tough. It sucks because a lot of people are clowning on Linden right now,
Yeah.
like on the online. I don't think. Look, at this point in his career, at his age, to then also make his debut in one
Mm,
in 4-ounce gloves against an absolute monster in Roman, the makings were for it to look like that. I'm not saying I'm not saying they made this fight to starch Linden or anything like that, or like make him look bad, but there's details involved that I don't think that's indicative of who Linden is as a fighter. If you look at his career, and it sucks to see people clown him, like they're trying to say like, oh, this guy, like what is he even doing in there, like things like that. And I'm like, dude, the fuck you talk like.
It's all right. Lyndon will be okay. He's,
Yeah, I just that kind of stuff pisses me
yeah.
off when these guys come in there and
He
fucking
took
go
the
to war.
opportunity, yeah. And if you didn't take it, you'd maybe forever wonder what happened if I
Yeah.
didn't.
And it does
Yeah.
go both ways. Those 4-ounce gloves go both ways. So
Yes, they do. I mean, Quickly has been dropped before by Iraj Azizpour, I think it was, and
yeah, who
it's
looking very good right now.
and that was in 8-ounce gloves. So
Yeah.
In the kickboxing Grand Prix. Oh yeah, and the Ursel fight, another close fight, another brilliant fight. I honestly wouldn't mind a fourth one if they want to do that for the vacant belt still, but I understand why they wouldn't. And Nico Carrillo, great performance. It was interesting. I spoke to JP after. He said, we kind of knew there'd be opportunities for the body shot because Sidichai keeps his hands up very high.
That's cool.
Obviously with the smaller gloves, it's you want to protect yourself more. He's obviously more of a kickboxing background, so great game plan by JP and
executed very well.
Good win for Nico. Yeah, it sets him up nicely for that division. Now, part of my mind thought, if he loses here, that's tough because I wondered whether bantamweight was, obviously he couldn't make it anymore, but maybe that was where he could do the most damage. But if his power wasn't going to help him in featherweight and he was getting out styled and out technique by everyone, that was worry. But he showed, he can put it all together. They did a great adjustment from the last fight. Yeah. So I think he's immediately a player in the top 5 now, literally. And you got great fights with Shadow there, I think. And if Joe Natalwood's hanging around, and Bampara, Luke Lisi, Yunus Raba, Tawan Chai. It's the division to be. Superbon. Best division now, I think, in one is featherweight Muay Thai. So
yeah, very good.
The party, Nico. Yeah. I will do a show later, so I'll give my more extensive thoughts on those other fights. If you want to tune in tonight, guys, around this time in 12 hours, something like that.
Yes, if you don't already follow Nick, like I said, the links are in the description on this stream. Make sure you tune in. His shows are great. Lots of insight to all things one. There's the handle right there also on screen. And thank you, Nick, for joining. Smitty says, Luke Lisi in Denver, please. That would be fun.
Yeah, I think Lucy will be on that card. And I think hopefully Asa, Jared, let's really get some of the Americans on there. That was what was missing last time, I think, for me.
Yeah, it was kind of strange, huh?
Yeah.
A ton of them on there.
I would expect that they would have, a bit more of an American showcase this time. But I gotta hop off. I gotta go walk my dogs. So I'm gonna love you and leave you. Will, thanks for having me.
We're gonna shut down right now. So yes, thanks everybody for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, do all that stuff. Like I said, follow Nick, subscribe on his stuff as well. Thank you, Nick, for joining. And if you're wondering who produced this, it's a double show, guest joining, all this stuff. Your boy Richard Bustos.
Oh man.
All right. Thanks everybody for watching another episode of Story of the Fight.